Most people think poverty starts with a lack of money, but Charlie Munger would tell you something far more uncomfortable. Poverty begins in the mind long before it appears in your bank account. And that's the brutal truth most people will never face. They blame the job. They blame the economy. They blame their upbringing. They blame luck, the government, inflation, their boss, their past, but they never look at the one thing shaping their entire financial destiny, the mindset they live with every single day. Let me make this painfully clear. You can earn $20,000 a year and think rich. You can earn $200,000 a year and think poor. One mindset builds freedom. The other builds a life sentence. And the most dangerous part, a poverty mindset feels normal. It feels responsible. It feels like the safe choice. It feels like you're doing the best you can. That's why it's a prison you don't realize you're inside. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't scare you. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It tells you, be careful. Don't try that. You can't afford to fail. You're not ready yet. Wait for a better moment. What if something goes wrong? And while you listen to that whisper for years, something devastating happens. Your life stays exactly the same. You wake up tired. You rush to a job that drains you. You survive another day. You get a paycheck already spent. You numb yourself with distractions. You promise you'll change soon. And then one day you blink and 10 years have vanished. You're in the same house, same paycheck, same stress, same fears, same life. That's not bad luck. That's not fate. That's not the universe conspiring against you. That's mindset inertia, the force that keeps you exactly where you are, even if where you are is slowly killing your potential. Charlie Munger used to say, if you keep doing what the crowd does, you will get what the crowd gets. And what does the crowd get? Stress, debt, dependence, distraction, consumption, no savings, no compounding, no plan, no direction, no progress. Let's be honest, most people don't think for themselves. They copy, they imitate, they follow, they repeat, they live on financial autopilot. Eat, work, scroll, spend, sleep, repeat. A routine so familiar that you don't question it anymore. And that's how the poverty mindset tightens around you like a silent rope. Let's go deeper into this. The poverty mindset begins with fear. Fear of losing money, fear of taking risks, fear of being uncomfortable, fear of being wrong, fear of trying something new, fear of being judged. Fear, and the most expensive fear of all, fear of change. You want a better life, but the idea of doing something different terrifies you. You dream of better finances, but you cling to the habits that are draining you. You want freedom, but you won't take the steps that build it. Here's what Munger understood. Comfort is the drug that keeps poor people poor. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it destroys you over time. Comfort keeps you buying things you don't need. Comfort keeps you avoiding uncomfortable conversations. Comfort keeps you living paycheck to paycheck. Comfort keeps you emotionally reactive. Comfort keeps you financially blind. Comfort keeps you afraid of learning new skills. Comfort keeps you taking the path of least resistance. Comfort is the cage, and fear is the lock. But here's the twist. The poverty mindset doesn't just come from fear. It also comes from hoping instead of deciding. Poor minds hope things get better. Rich minds decide to make things better. Hope says, I wish my life would change. Decision says, I am changing my life starting now. Hope waits. Decision moves. Hope fantasizes. Decision executes. Hope fears failure. Decision accepts failure as part of progress. Munger said it simply, take responsibility. Always. It's the only way out, because responsibility shifts control back into your hands. And that's the moment the prison cracks open, when you say, I'm broke because of my decisions, so I can be wealthy because of new decisions. One moment of honesty can undo 10 years of stagnation. But here's the hardest part. The poverty mindset is not about money, it's about identity. You think like a worker, You think like someone who trades time for survival. You think like someone waiting for permission. You think like someone who needs approval. You think like someone who reacts to life instead of building life. That identity is what keeps you poor, not your income, not your job, not your circumstances. Your mindset is the architect of your future, and it's building exactly what you told it to build. So before we talk about breaking out, before we talk about compounding, before we talk about investing, discipline, savings, or strategy, you must confront the first and most important truth. You cannot escape a poor life with a poor mindset. The mind you have today can't take you to the life you want tomorrow. This is harsh. This is uncomfortable. This is the part people skip. But Munger never sugarcoated reality. He believed that truth, even painful truth, was the greatest financial tool anyone could have. And if you want wealth, freedom, independence, and control over your life, then you must first face the invisible prison that's been holding you down. Because once you see the cage, you can finally start breaking it. Because here's the truth most people never face. You don't stay poor because you lack money. You stay poor because you cling to beliefs that guarantee poverty. These beliefs feel logical, they feel normal, they feel like everyone else thinks the same way, and that's exactly the problem. Charlie Munger used to say, if you think like everyone else, expect the same results as everyone else. And what does everyone else get? Debt, stress, stagnation, no savings, no investments, a lifetime of financial fragility. The tragedy is that these beliefs sound harmless. They sound reasonable. Sometimes they even sound smart. But they silently destroy your financial future without you ever noticing. Let's break down the 5 beliefs that keep even high earners poor. And belief has shown I'll start saving and investing when I earn more. This is the biggest lie the poor tell themselves. It feels logical, it feels responsible, it feels like the adult thing to say, but it is poison. Because if you can't discipline yourself at a low income, you won't discipline yourself at a high income. If you can't save $10 from $200, you won't save $100 from $2,000. And you certainly won't save $1,000 from $20,000. Income doesn't fix behavior, it exposes it. This belief keeps people poor because they think discipline magically appears when they get richer. It doesn't. Munger's version of the truth: the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. If you wait for more income, the habits that keep you poor will already be locked in. Belief hash 2, I don't earn enough to invest. This one sounds true, feels true, but it's false. People think investing is for the wealthy, but the wealthy know investing is the only way out of poverty. Rich thinking people invest before they feel ready. Poor thinking people invest only when they feel comfortable, and comfort never comes. Let me be blunt. You don't invest because you have money. You invest because you want money. If you wait until you can afford it, you'll wait forever. Poor thinking says, I need more money to start. Rich thinking says, I start so that I can have more money. Everything changes when you switch those 2 sentences. Belief hash 3, investing is too risky. Here is where the poverty mindset reveals itself completely. Poor thinking sees risk as danger. Rich thinking sees risk as opportunity. Poor thinking says, I might lose what little I have. Rich thinking says, if I don't invest, I'll never have more. Munger didn't avoid risk, he avoided stupidity. There's a difference. Poor thinking avoids everything. Rich thinking avoids only the things that don't make sense. The real risk? Staying where you are. Inflation eats your savings. Time slips away. Opportunities pass. Compounding never begins. People who avoid risk end up taking the biggest risk of all, a lifetime of financial weakness. Belief hash 4, I deserve to enjoy my money. This one destroys more futures than bad luck, bad jobs, or bad parents. Lifestyle inflation feels good. It feels like progress. It feels like success. But it's the hunger that eats your financial life alive. A new phone becomes a need. A new car becomes a right. Dinners out become essential. Vacations become I work hard so I deserve this. Every small indulgence is another vote for staying broke. Wealth doesn't come from what you buy. It comes from what you don't buy. Munger said it best. The first rule of compounding is never to interrupt it unnecessarily. Lifestyle inflation interrupts compounding every single day. Poor thinking chases pleasure now. Rich thinking delays pleasure for bigger rewards later. Belief #5. People like me will never be wealthy. This is the belief that kills dreams before they're even born. People say, my parents weren't rich. I didn't grow up in the right place. I don't have the skills. I'm too old. I'm too young. I've already made too many mistakes. I don't know enough. You see the pattern? Excuses disguised as destiny. But wealth has never been about background. It has always been about mindset. Every investor started with fear. Every saver started small. Every disciplined person started undisciplined. Every wealthy person once had no idea what they were doing. The difference? They didn't let their past define their future. Munger would tell you, you're not responsible for the hand you were dealt. You're responsible for how you play it. Once you stop believing you're doomed, you stop behaving like a doomed person. And the moment your behavior changes, your entire financial direction changes with it. Why these beliefs are so dangerous? Because they hide behind logic. They sound like common sense. Everyone around you repeats them. And that's how they spread. Quietly, slowly, generation after generation. This is how entire families stay poor for 50 years. Not because they lacked opportunity, but because they inherited beliefs that made opportunity impossible to see. Poor thinking is contagious. Rich thinking is built intentionally. Every belief you hold is either building wealth or blocking it. There is no neutral thinking when it comes to money. These 5 beliefs feel safe, but they keep you stuck in a life you hate. And until you break them, no amount of hustling, no amount of income, no amount of luck will change anything. You will stay exactly where you are emotionally, financially, mentally, and spiritually. But the moment these beliefs crack, the door opens. And in part 3, we're going to walk straight through that door and break this mindset permanently. You don't escape the poverty mindset by getting rich. You get rich by escaping the poverty mindset. Most people try to fix their life backward. They chase money before fixing the thinking that loses money. They want wealth with the same habits, the same fears, the same impulses, and the same emotional reactions that kept them broke for years. That never works. You cannot build a new life with the mindset that built the old one. Charlie Munger understood this deeply. He believed transformation wasn't created by luck, talent, or motivation, but by a radical change in mental models, ways of thinking that shape every decision you make. Let's break the poverty mindset, step by step, the way he would teach it. Step 1, stop thinking like labor and start thinking like capital. This is the mental switch that changes everything. Poor thinking asks, how can I make more money? Rich thinking asks, how can my money make more money? The difference is life-changing. When you think like labor, all you see is work, hours, tasks, overtime, exhaustion. You believe effort equals income. But when you think like capital, your money becomes your employee. Every dollar has a job. Every dollar has a mission. Every dollar is sent into the world to bring back more dollars. This shift doesn't require money. It requires identity. You need to stop seeing yourself as a worker and start seeing yourself as an owner, even if all you own at the beginning is your own discipline. Until that shift happens, no financial strategy will work. Step 2, lower your lifestyle before raising your income. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They upgrade their life before upgrading their mindset. They start making a little more money and suddenly the apartment gets bigger, the car gets newer, the clothes get fancier, takeout becomes routine, small luxuries become necessities, and then they wonder why they still feel broke. Lifestyle inflation is poverty disguised as progress. Charlie Munger lived below his means for decades, not because he had to, but because he understood something the average person doesn't. The first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. Every unnecessary purchase breaks compounding. Every lifestyle upgrade delays freedom. Every moment of "I deserve this" steals from your future self. Breaking the poverty mindset requires brutal honesty. Do you want to look rich now or be rich later? Most people pick the first option and spend the rest of their lives paying for that decision. That's step 3. Build discipline before you build strategy. Poor thinking chases clever tactics. Rich thinking builds strong habits. This is where most fail. They want investing hacks, money tips, shortcuts, tricks, best stock picks, top side hustles, how to double your money fast. But here's the truth. Financial skill is useless without financial behavior. If you can't control your impulses, you can't control your outcomes. If you can't say no to small temptations, you'll never say yes to big opportunities. If you can't delay gratification, the compounding will never get a chance to work. Discipline is the engine. Strategy is the steering wheel. Without the engine, the steering wheel does nothing. This is why Munger said, take a simple idea and take it seriously. Saving money is simple. Investing consistently is simple. Living below your means is simple. But doing it every day, that's where wealth is built. Step 4, learn the skill of quiet patience. If there is one lesson the world hates learning, it's this. Wealth is slow, but poverty is fast. The poor thinking mindset is addicted to speed. Fast income, fast promotions, fast results, fast investments, fast gratification, fast success. Rich thinking understands something deeper. The best financial decisions feel boring. They feel slow. They feel uneventful. Munger captured this perfectly. The big money is not in the buying or the selling, it's in the waiting. Waiting requires emotional control, something most people don't have. People panic when things fall. People chase when things rise. People switch strategies every few months. People waste years in financial chaos because they can't sit still long enough to let compounding work. Breaking the poverty mindset means mastering boredom. It means not reacting. It means letting time do the heavy lifting. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It doesn't impress anyone, but it makes you wealthy. To step 5, make one decision that changes everything. If there is one habit that destroys the poverty mindset permanently, it's this. Pay yourself first every single month, no matter what. Before the bills, before the subscriptions, before the dinners out, before the rises, before the impulses, before the noise, even if it's $5, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts. Because the moment you pay yourself first, your identity shifts. You are no longer barely surviving. You are an investor, an owner, a builder, someone who creates a future instead of waiting for one. Munger said, the first $100,000 is a B***, but you absolutely have to do it. ***. Why? Because the mindset you build while saving it is worth more than the money itself. Paying yourself first rewires your brain. Your fear shrinks. Your discipline grows. Your confidence increases. Your habits strengthen. Your patience develops. Your emotional spending fades. Your identity upgrades. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the COMSIS, architect of your future. And that's the moment the poverty mindset dies. Not when you earn more. Not when you finally succeed. Not when you feel ready. It dies when you decide that your future matters more than your impulses. Once you break the poverty mindset, something extraordinary happens, and it has nothing to do with money at first. Your thoughts change, your reactions change, your decisions change, your identity changes, and the life that once felt heavy, chaotic, unfair, and exhausting begins to shift in ways you never imagined. Charlie Munger always said the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken, but the moment you break them, you place. Don't just feel light, you feel powerful. Because for the first time in your life, you realize the truth. Wealth was never about income. It was always about mindset. Let me show you the transformation in detail. 1, you stop making emotional money decisions. People with a poverty mindset make decisions based on feelings. I'm stressed, so I'll buy this. I'm bored, so I'll spend this. I deserve this. I'm sad. Shopping will help. Everything is emotional. But once you break the mindset, you stop treating money as therapy and start treating it as a tool. You stop buying to feel better. You stop chasing distractions. You stop spending for validation. You start asking, does this move me forward? Will this matter next year? Is this worth losing compounding over? For the first time, you act with intention, not impulse. This alone puts you ahead of 90% of people. Now, 2, you become immune to social pressure. The poverty mindset is deeply tied to comparison. My friends have this. My coworkers bought that. Everyone around me is upgrading. People go broke trying to look successful instead of trying to be successful. But when your mindset shifts, you stop playing that game entirely. You realize nobody's watching, nobody's judging, nobody cares what you buy, and the people who look rich usually aren't. Munger said, if you can get good at ignoring the nonsense of the world, you'll have a huge advantage. You stop caring what others think, and that freedom becomes priceless. You make decisions for your future, not for other people's approval. The 3, you start playing the long game. Most people live in 24-hour cycles. They think in days, weeks, maybe months. Long-term thinking is rare because it requires maturity. It requires discomfort. It requires facing reality. It requires patience. But once you break the poverty mindset, you begin to think in years and decades. You start asking, how will this decision feel in 5 years? What will compounding turn this into? What habits can I build today that my future self will thank me for? This single shift changes everything. It's the difference between sprinting blindly and walking confidently toward a destination. Long-term thinking is the trait that builds wealth, keeps wealth, and multiplies wealth. 4, you feel a kind of peace you've never felt before. We need to talk about this part because most people don't realize what financial peace truly means. It doesn't mean luxury. It doesn't mean private jets. It doesn't mean expensive vacations. It means quiet. The quiet that comes from knowing you can handle an emergency. The quiet that comes from not depending on your next paycheck. The quiet that comes from having options. The quiet that comes from being able to say no. That quiet is priceless. For the first time in your life, you stop waking up in panic. Your mind feels lighter. Your body feels calmer. Your decisions feel clearer. You breathe differently. Because wealth isn't money. Wealth is control. Control over time, decisions, direction, and emotions. Control is a real luxury. 4, 5. You stop being a victim and start being the architect. This is the deepest transformation. People trapped in the poverty mindset feel like life happens to them. They feel powerless. They feel unlucky. They feel like the world owes them something. But once you break the mindset, you see the truth. You are the only person responsible for your financial direction. Not your boss, not the government, not your parents, not luck, not the economy. You. And that responsibility, instead of scaring you, empowers you. You realize, I built the old life with old decisions. I can build a new life with new decisions. Responsibility becomes your superpower. You begin designing your life instead of reacting to life. And once you feel that shift, you never go back. I-6. Opportunities finally become visible. Here's something almost nobody understands. When you think poor, you don't see opportunities. You see fear. You see risk. You see danger. You see failure. But once your mindset changes, you start seeing opportunities everywhere. A small investment, a new habit, a skill you can learn, a way to reduce expenses, a business idea, a chance to collaborate, a better use of your time. Opportunities weren't missing. You were blind to them. Munger said, the mind is like the eye. It sees only what it has been trained to see. When your mindset upgrades, your vision upgrades. And for the first time, the path forward becomes clear. 7, you build wealth quietly, slowly, steadily. This is the part social media never shows. Wealth is calm. Wealth is slow. Wealth is repetitive. Wealth is consistent. Wealth is boring. And that's why poor thinking people never build it. They want excitement. They want shortcuts. They want dopamine. But once you break the poverty mindset, you learn to love the boring things. Saving every month, investing automatically, avoiding lifestyle creep, living below your means, focusing on habits, staying patient, repeating the basics, ignoring noise, trusting time. That's the formula. Always has been. It's not glamorous, but it works. Always. The final transformation. Here's the ultimate truth. Wealth isn't something you get. Wealth is something you become. You become someone who thinks independently, acts rationally, avoids stupidity, respects compounding, ignores envy, embraces patience, controls impulses, plays the long game, builds consistently, stays calm during chaos. Once you become that sage person, wealth becomes inevitable. Not fast, not flashy, not magical, but inevitable. Because the moment you break the poverty mindset, your future stops being accidental and becomes intentional. And that more than money, income, or luck is what creates the life you've been dreaming of.